Hi everyone, I'm Baron Avi, here for episode 3 of Warrior Chats. I'm a Paragon Warrior out of Fiorinai in Winter's Edge.
And I'm Baronet Haraldr Dorsmaster, Paragon Warrior out of the Everliving Woods in Birmingham, Alabama.
Our topic today is the first level warrior ability Scavenge, and we are joined by a small little scavenger who will not be appearing on the recording, but you'll get a picture of her. My dog, the Orphan. So we're going to start by covering Scavenge and just looking at its actual wording. It's a verbal, you get unlimited uses of it at first level, and it says repair 1 point of armor in one location, a shield, or a weapon. And it has the limitation kill trigger. So what this means is anytime you kill somebody in melee, you can go ahead and use Scavenge to repair some bit of kit. And in my opinion, it's one of the best first level abilities out there, and it's one of Warrior's coolest abilities. What do you think, Haraldr?
I agree. I think it has a lot of survivability to the class in general, and I once heard it described as an excellent gameplay loop for Warrior because, of course, the more kills you get, the more armor you get back, which means you can just live longer. Yeah.
Now, you wanted to go over the clarifications on the ability, right?
Yes. So, looking over the rules clarification report on Facebook, which is difficult because Facebook doesn't want you to look back at past posts for some reason. Or more, they want to make it difficult to do so with any clarity. What a lot of people ask is, if I kill 2 people within 30 seconds, can I use it 2 times? Yes, you can, in fact, use this ability an unlimited number of times for however many kills you get, so long as you follow the limitations of kill trigger, which I'll talk about a bit. You can also use it on any of your equipment that is broken, like it says. Of course, shield breaking takes 3 hits to break a shield, but even if your shield is at 2 out of 3 hits, you still can repair it. It has to be broken. You can repair any weapon. Even if someone else hands you their weapon, you can repair that. You can repair your armor. And there is a little muddiness. I don't remember. Wasn't able to find an official clarification about repairing armor that wasn't worn. But assuming, no, not self. Yes. So since it says self, that would mean it has to be your armor that you're wearing. So
Yep. Now, you can use it with magic armor as opposed to worn armor. And that's actually a really good way for a new player to kind of get introduced to how the class works. Because Scavenge is one of your core mechanics, the other being armor wearing, but Scavenge is our topic for today. So, let's assume you're a new player and you don't have access to Chain or Gambison or whatever yet. You've just started playing Warrior. You go to your druid buddy and say, hey, can you give me a bark skin or a stone skin? And then you've got 1 or 2 points of armor that you can play around with, and you can scavenge that back. And that's just kind of a neat way to get started in the class. It's not good for you later on, because some of your other abilities do require you to actually use physical worn armor, but those come later. Now, the limitation on Scavenge isn't the number of times you can use it, it's that it's a kill trigger ability. And there are only actually 3 kill trigger abilities in the game. Scavenge, Adrenaline, and Blood and Thunder. 2 of them are on Barbarian. Kill trigger, what it does is anytime you get a kill in melee, you're allowed to use a kill trigger ability, or all of your kill trigger abilities, but you're allowed to use each one once per kill. The downside is you can't be within 10 feet of a living opponent. Now, after you kill that or deal that killing blow, you've got 30 seconds. So let's say you and I are fighting Haraldr, and you've got a buddy. I kill your
right.
buddy, and then you decide to run away about 15 seconds later. Or a bard friend of mine comes up and uses awe on you about 15 seconds later. Boom! I can save that kill trigger Scavenge for that time point.
And this is a good reason to make sure you know your distances. Because personally, for me, 10 feet is about 2 paces. So I just have to take a few steps back, and all of a sudden, and that's not even like, oh, I'm running away. And unless they're really trying to press me, they probably won't even pursue. That's enough distance for me to get the scavengers off.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't have to be far. And you don't actually have to kill them in terms of make them respawn. If you deal what would normally be a killing blow, and some sort of additional effect triggers that prevents them from dying, like Undead Minion or Greater Undead Minion.
Or like Phoenix Tears or True Grit.
If someone pops one of those, you still get your Scavenge. you're still allowed to use your kill triggers off of that. The big limitations are that it has to be in melee combat, so you can't throw a javelin at somebody and get the kill. And you have to be no more than, or sorry, you can't be within 10 feet of a living opponent. That's it. Now, what were we going to do next? I closed my notes.
You wanted to talk about the other kill trigger abilities.
Oh, yes.
And assassinate, because I actually went and double checked that because you didn't include it. And
No,
it is not kill trigger.
Yeah, Assassinate is not kill trigger. Assassinate can be used off of ranged in the kills. There are 2 other kill trigger abilities in the game. Both of them are in Barbarian, and there's Adrenaline, which is actually very similar to Scavenge in terms of increasing your longevity. You've got to be losing worse with Barbarian because, let's face it, losing a point of armor isn't nearly as bad as losing a limb, right?
Right.
But both of them keep you in the fight. So if you're already winning, they keep you winning harder. Now, the other one for Barbarian is Blood and Thunder. Their 6th level ability, and you can actually pop both Blood and Thunder and Adrenaline off of the same kill. So it takes you from winning a little bit to winning a lot. Scavenge does pretty much the exact same thing. The more kills you can get, the more armor you have. The more armor you have, the longer you stay alive, the more kills you get. If you've got the stick to back it up, it really can keep you going a long time.
Yeah, or even then, you just have to get the kill shots. Even if it would technically otherwise just be an assist, kill shot's a kill shot.
Yeah, if you deal that killing blow, you get the Scavenge. There have been a couple of times where I've let someone else get a killing blow so that they could pop Adrenaline. Now, Assassinate is a little bit different because it's not actually kill trigger. It just has to be done on someone that you've killed. It doesn't have the 30-second limitation. It has to be done immediately rather than within 30 seconds. And it doesn't have to be distant from anybody, and it doesn't have to be melee. So Assassinate's probably a little more powerful in terms of how you activate it, but it's a lot weaker in terms of its overall effect, I feel like. What do you think?
Oh my gosh, I totally just blanked. Yeah, I think assassinate having unlimited range is way powerful.
It's only a 20-foot range.
20 foot. Well, 20 foot's still pretty good. 'Cause that's enough to get arrows and ranged off. Dishing out those curses from cover or behind lines.
I feel like overall it's a weaker effect than Scavenge is.
I mean, I agree. You're just making it harder to respawn. But even in their smaller fields where you may not have a healer, very little difference.
Assassin's one of those classes that's very much based on the opponent's team composition.
Mhm.
I feel like it's one of the more powerful melee classes if the other team's not wearing armor.
Yeah, or if the player themselves is able to just move.
But back to Scavenge. We did get a good question on the event listing for this on Facebook from Sid, wondering how you can make use of Scavenge as a newer player, since a lot of folks will use will send newbies to the warrior class. Do you have any advice, Haraldr?
Don't play warrior if you're a newbie, but nah. Which to elaborate, I think caster is a better any caster is a better starting class than a martial class. But anyway, to answer the question, just being like a team mender, I guess, or mender, preparer, whatever term is correct, could be good. You could just buddy them up and like let them get kills and trade them in to like hand them off broken weapons or damaged shields and stuff like that, so they can help your team get repairs.
Yeah, I mean, you're right that warrior is not a good newbie class. In past editions it was, but a lot of the changes in V8 have shifted it from being a very newbie-friendly class to being one of the least newbie-friendly classes. I'm back when you got more lives than anyone else, back when your only abilities were armor and your sword hits a little harder. It was a very different game. But if you don't have stick, if you're not that good of a fighter, I think the way to get the most mileage out of Scavenge is to pick your targets.
Definitely.
Find your squishies. Find the other team's squishies. Hit them while they're distracted. Running pole is great for that.
Oh yeah, I was actually going to mention like run pole, the great equalizer of martial melee.
Yeah. I feel like that's how you get mileage out of Scavenge as a newer player. I really feel like the push The tendency to push newbies towards warrior is outdated.
Yeah.
It's one of the most expensive classes to play effectively. Wearing armor, as we talked about in our first video, requires training to get used to it. And it's a martial class. You need stick to really get the most mileage out of it.
Yeah. The other classes have stuff to help back up your stick fighting with magic and abilities, but warrior ain't got that. It's all just how well can I swing it, swing stick.
Yeah, I mean, assassin, that rechargeable poison really is a huge boost as a
And
newer player.
I keep thinking about like max level, considering that the leveling is really fast during the pandemic. Just coming out like even if you were like newer, still newer and like maxed out assassin, the ability to move around the field can be of great advantage to your team. And stuff like that. But yeah. Then Scout has its toolbox of little tricks you can do, as well as be able to use bow. And then monk as well. Everyone just tells people to play monk.
Monk is, I feel like, the ditcher class.
Yeah,
If you don't want to have to worry about anything other than swinging a weapon, Monk is the class to go.
yeah, which is why I think it's especially bad for new people because it's like, oh, you don't have to worry about magic, but then you're teaching people when they're starting out in the game to ignore magic or magics, which is bad for them.
Yeah, it's a easier, lower learning curve early on in exchange for a really nasty learning curve later.
Yeah, I remember you mentioned that you had some nice anecdotes about using Scavenge.
Yeah, I've got two really good ones. One was a fight early on in the day, or I want to say this was very late V8 playtesting. I was running Warrior at a raid down on Ogre's Grotto, and I've got 4 people getting ready to swarm me down. I'm down 3 points of armor going into this, and I'm rocking 6 points everywhere. There's one guy to my immediate front about 5 feet away. There's another guy to my immediate right at about 3 o'clock, again 5 to 8 feet away. And there's a pair of folks approaching from about 10 o'clock and about 8 o'clock. They're about 15 feet and rushing me. So I fake towards the guy on my right at 3 o'clock, throw him off just a little bit, then lunge at the guy at my 12 o'clock, kill him, bounce off of him to pop the guy on the right. About this time, the guys charging my left have come through. One of them manages to hit me, taking me down a 4th point. I spin between the two of them, pop them both in the back, and as soon as they're all 4 down, it's just scavenge, 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 scavenge. And I'm from down 3 points going into this engagement all the way back up to full. For teams of at most 5 with a max combined level of 20. I was on a 2-man team, so I was running level 6 and my buddy was running level 3 because he'd been playing for all of about 2 months. And there was a dungeon that none of the teams were able to get through. Just could not do it. Well, my buddy's taking a break, so I decide, you know what? All the enchants I'm wearing are persistent. Worst case, I have to go spend a couple of minutes respawning and take the time to get some water. So I start trucking through this dungeon. And it's just populated by a whole mess of fairly fast respawning monsters, all of whom are fragile. So yeah, they're swinging at me, and I think they were swinging for armor destroying, but I've got Ancestral up. And I'm just going through, trade a limb, kill one of them by losing an armor point, scavenge it back, and keep doing this for the entire length of the dungeon. I am just shy of the dungeon boss when another team decides they're going to try to help us out. They come in, and their druid accidentally pings my sword with an ice ball. We ended up losing because none of them were able to handle the massive swarm of skeletons, but it was still a good time. I made it 90% of the way through this dungeon on my own.
That was really awesome. I think I
Yeah.
remember those skeletons. I remember getting to the back of the line and we're like, okay, wait, where are they? They're still spawning. We can't stop and look for stuff. Our gamer brains were just like, can't do other things until it's safe.
Yeah, my team name that event was I Lost the Game.
Gosh.
Oh, that was a good event, at least from my perspective.
My team kept getting ganked at the right outside the turning point. So just like it was a Herculean effort to get anything. And then once if we got anything, it just got stolen from us right before the turn in. It was right, which is not. It was not the event runner's fault. It was a group of people. Yes.
Oh, I remember that group of people. My team ended up coming in 5th out of 9 teams, with like almost all of our points coming off of me tanking a demon lord.
Yeah.
I'll get to that story in depth when we get to the insult episode.
Yeah.
But needless to say, tanking and looting the demon lord, everyone else was just like, yeah, okay, you can have the points from that.
And if anyone's curious, I do not have any amazing anecdotes about using Scavenge because I'm usually I'm either at full armor or I'm dead. I spend very little time in between, and most of the kills I get, well, I don't really get many kills. A lot of what I do is getting assists and or just standing around menacingly because you wear plate armor and all of a sudden everyone's scared of you. Well, not scared of you, but scared to engage.
Yeah, the plate is a little intimidating. I think I play a little more aggressively than you do, but
I've gotten more aggressive since parks have been reopening, especially now that I carry multiple weapons with me. Like we mentioned in an earlier episode, it's much easier to be aggressive when you have multiple weapons.
and you're not worried about getting pyrotechnics as badly.
Yeah.
I think we're going to go ahead and summarize here and then probably wrap things up.
Sounds good.
So, Scavenge, it is one of Warrior's most powerful abilities. You can use it as long as you're not within 10 feet of a living opponent and within 30 seconds of dealing what would be a killing blow, regardless of whether the opponent actually dies or they mitigate it somehow through True Grit or Greater Undead Minion or whatever. If you are a newer player, go ahead and get some magic armor. That way you can maximize your efficiency with Scavenge. It won't stack with your regular armor, but it is a good way to kind of learn the basics of the class. And if you're still new and haven't had a chance to really develop your stick skill yet, partner up with somebody. Kill your opponents while they're paying attention to your partner rather than paying attention to you. If you don't have the skill to kill on your own, teamwork will help. Teamwork is always overpowered. And on that note, I think I'm good.
Yeah, me too.
All right. Next month we will be joined by Sid we will be joined by Sid from Dragon's Hollow as we discuss the Harden ability, and we may be joined by Ren Kenobi, a newer player out of Fear and I. With any luck, we'll see you guys in the next one.
See y'all.
Bye.